Okay, looks like we're set up. Let me go ahead and switch this. Should now be seeing my screen. Yep, there it is. Alright, let's get this started. So this isn't going to be a super long video. This is mainly for me to test my gear. Did some optimizing on my PC. Hopefully this will make the stream run smoother than the last couple I've done. And additionally, I'll be showing off my skill build for the newest Division 2 patch. I had a lot of fun with the Seeker Mine skill build in the original Division. And one of my first goals when I got to the end game for this one was to kind of recreate that experience. Which, there's some different mechanics at play in this game versus the first one, which I'll get into a little bit more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run down my gear, the thought process behind the build itself. I'll cover the mods I have in my gear as well, my weapons. Talk a little bit about alternates you could approach if you don't have exactly the same stuff that I do.
Safe area detected.
And of course, the first thing I always do is check to see if these guys have anything worth selling. So I'm after a very specific sidearm for one of my other builds that no one ever seems to have, never freaking drops for me.
Glad you're here, Agent.
And nope, not gonna happen this time either. Alright, so new project just went live the other day for the apparel event. So first of all, if you have not done this yet, make sure that you set up your various loadouts. I have one that prioritizes long range, one for like really close in combat, one specifically for the Dark Zone, and then my skill build, which was what we'll be covering today. So, the biggest difference between this game and the first one is the nature of your skill power. In the first game, your skill power was everything. Your skill power affected your cooldowns, how much damage and effectiveness your skills would have. So, higher for skill power was always better. And this game is significantly different. We'll look at the Seeker Mines here for an example. Each skill, like the Seeker Mines, has a couple different versions that you can activate. I opt to do the cluster. I find it's the most effective. It sends out a cluster of at least 3 or 4 mines. You can get mods that'll add more. It has a little bit of a crowd control element. It does have a longer cooldown than what the explosive mine does, as well as lower initial power. Although in my experience, having the single explosive Seeker Mine go out, it makes it much more easy for the enemies to target it and destroy it before it actually does anything. The air burst isn't bad, but as I said, I really have come to prefer the Seekers. And this one is specific to the Survivalist, which is for healing your teammates' armor. But today we're going to focus on the Seeker Mine. So once you have your Seeker Mine set up, the addition they made into the second game versus the first one is now there are 3 different mod slots that you can put mods into. And this is how you get your damage, how you get your cooldown, your extra mines, and so forth, not based on your skill power. So once you have installed the mods that you're after, in my case I focused on cooldown and damage. Once you have these mods in place, then you basically look at what the most expensive mod skill power wise is, and make sure you have as much skill power to activate those mods, and not necessarily much more than that, because it's just going to go to waste. Now, Recently in the loot table they added the auxiliary batteries, which will take up 1 slot, and this is a slot generic item. It can fit in any of the three slots, so it will give you some flexibility. So if you're not running a skill build, a specific character with a lot of high skill power, you can kind of work around that now by having this in one of your mod slots, although you do give up one of these slots. As a companion to the Seeker, I like to run the Fixer drone. Again, focusing on cooldown reduction, the health, so it's much harder for the enemies to destroy, and the duration, so it lasts a long time. If you're going to go with a skill-specific build, I think your best bet for specialization-wise, and I'll head over there and show the specialization tree. Your best bet specialization-wise is to go survivalist, because when you get down into the tree over here, the survivalist has a talent called Crunch Time. While in cover, gain 10% skill cooldown reduction. Now the wording on this is a little misleading. That is only calculated when the cooldown initially starts. So if you leave cover, it's not going to take longer. Suddenly, if the cooldown is already in progress and you go into cover, it's not going to shorten it. So you want to be in cover when you actually throw your skills out, which will make more sense when I get into the demonstration phase of this. So then for my my skills, or my gear, I'll talk a little bit, because there's a few different components in play here. There is the mods you get for your brand, which you'll see I do not have a whole lot of actual brand sets in place. They're kind of all over the board. So Gila Guard gives you 5% armor. Absolutely not a bad thing to have. And this particular piece has a health bonus as well as cooldown reduction. You want to try to stack as much cooldown reduction as you can. I wanted to have Surge in my the Surge talent in my build, which is the 10% skill haste, and the actual skill mod I put in place has additional skill power, and also don't care so much about the weak points kills, but I really wanted to get the bonus explosive damage, because that does stack with your Seeker Mines, and as you'll see when I demonstrate the play, the Seeker Mines are out very, very often. This backpack is like single-handedly holding back my gear score. It's a 470 gear score piece, and I've not found anything with the right mix of talents to replace it. As you can see, I have Vitality on it and Skilled. You want to have Skilled at a minimum on your skill build backpack, because that has a 20% chance to reset skill cooldowns after you kill someone with the skill. Now, it works a little oddly with the Seeker Mines, because you throw out multiple Seeker Mines. It's possible to proc it, but not actually take effect if there's still other Seeker Mines out in play. So that really only plays off the last Seeker Mine. So you have to hope your last Seeker Mine actually gets the kill for it to proc properly. But it happens often enough where you definitely want to make sure that you have that skill in your build. Again, for the gear mod, skill power, and this one adds additional power specific to my drone and my Seeker, so it helps boost my power up to activate the gear mods I have in place. Moved on to the gloves. These definitely want to make sure you have a pair of the Alps Summit gear somewhere in your build, because as you see, the first brand set bonus for that is a 10% skill cooldown reduction. If your skill power is otherwise low, you might want to try to get a second piece in there to boost it a little bit. But with the gear mod I have over here, that adds specifically to the drone and the Seeker skill, didn't really need it. But if you're running low on skill power, it might be helpful to have a second piece of the Alps in there. Now this one you can see has a big health bonus for me, and I'm running Terminate. Depleting an enemy's armor grants a 35% skill damage for 15 seconds. So that is real big for maximizing the amount of damage I get out of my Seeker Mines. it does have a skill requirement activation. You have to have at least 5 of the yellow coated notches, whatever they're referred to in the game. Now, if your skill cooldown is on the longer side, you'll see when I get into play, my Seeker Mines can be put out right about every 30 seconds, if not a little bit less, if I'm in cover when the cooldown starts, because of the crunch time ability. So because I'm throwing these out every 30 seconds or less, and it's significantly less with the skill I have on my knee pads, which we'll get into, it's beneficial to my build to have terminate in there. If your cooldowns are longer, like in the 45 second to minute time range, you could probably swap this out with compensated, which will give you more base damage. That's kind of an option you can have to keep your DPS overall a little more even. Moving on to the knee pads, definitely want to set the Shine a Light gear somewhere in your build to get you that 10% explosive damage. This has a skill power roll on it, and calculated. Calculated is great because any kill you have while you're in cover is going to reduce your skill cooldowns by 20%. With the way this build works, I can have my my Seekers back up again very, very quickly if I just kill a handful of guys after throwing them. This was an offensive slot for the gear, so I just went for the universal weapon damage, headshot damage, and a little small boost to optimal range. Pardon me. This build can struggle a bit dealing with elites, which is why I put a hard hitting in there, just that extra bonus damage to elites. Alternatively, you could have almost anything else in here if your weapon is a 5.56. Because at least the gear that I have some 5.56 gear that can really boost my elite damage. This is a 7.62 because it's built on the AK. I'll get into that in a little bit. So if you have weaponry, you can stack a lot of weapon mods that will increase your damage to elite specifically. You could probably forego having hard hitting in your as a gear talent. This is just what I opted to do. So you have some flexibility available there for you if you'd like. And this, I got a utility mod, skill power, and a buff to my reload speed. The last piece of gear we'll cover is my chest piece. Now, this is a Providence piece. I'm just using it mainly because it is the just the best fit for what I have going at the moment. I didn't necessarily need a 10% skill power. It doesn't necessarily hurt either. If you have stuff with really high skill power rolls, you might not have to have a Providence piece in there. And same with the Douglas and Harding piece I have for my my holster. That wasn't so much a necessity. It was just, it happened to be what fit best with the other stance I was after. The accuracy buff certainly doesn't hurt, but it's not something you necessarily have to dwell on to get this build. So I recalibrated the armor roll. It has a skill power roll and also has a pretty significant health roll, so this has just been a great overall piece. And definitely if you're doing this build, you want to go after at least one piece in your setup that has the destructive talent, because that 20% bonus explosive damage just really adds a lot to your Seekers. Again, this one has a couple mod slots. Went for the flat weapon damage, and it also has assault rifle damage and pistol damage. I would have been happy with assault rifle LMG or even LMG and something else. The pistol I'm not really getting a whole lot out of because I hardly ever actually use it. But the assault rifle damage was nice because I do use my assault rifle quite a bit. And then the defensive mod, additional health regeneration, and armor regeneration. So it's just kind of an all-around good defensive piece to have. Moving on to the weapons, I've talked about the pistol a couple times. I personally really like having the Liberty Exotic Desert Eagle, primarily because the holstered ability. When holstered, destroying weak points refills 20% of your current weapon's magazine. Now, this is huge if you're using an LMG, because with the 100 round magazine, if you take out a weak point on an enemy, boom, you have an extra 20 rounds in your your LMG, and you can fire it a very long time just picking off weak points off of people. This is not necessarily required for this build. It's a nice to have. You could probably swap it with almost anything else if you had a different pistol you wanted to use and didn't have access to Liberty. A suggestion I would have is something that has Greased on it if you don't have Liberty, just because Greased will give you your a 10% buff to switching between your primary weapons. And on the primary weapons, this is probably the best mix of talents you can get, in my opinion, on a skill build weapon. You want to have in rhythm pretty much required, because every time you kill an enemy, there's a small chance that you're going to actively, or you're going to automatically reset all of your skill cooldowns. 5% sounds like a small chance, but this actually happens pretty often. Spike is a great skill build talent, because any headshot kill grants an additional 35% skill damage for 20 seconds. So if you get a headshot kill, that gives you 35% skill damage. That will stack with the 35% skill damage you get for depleting someone's armor. You can have a significant amount of bonus damage stacked on top of your skill damage, and that's not even counting the 20% explosive damage that Destructive will give your Seekers. So you're talking... I'm not sure what the soft cap is for the multiplier, but at that point you're probably pretty close to it, because that's about 80%. Wait, no. 90% damage buff. Jazz Hands is nice for the bonus reload speed. I wouldn't say that's a deal breaker if your AR doesn't have that. I enjoy it, but you could probably switch to almost any other of the mid-level passive talents. This LMG had a very high base damage roll, which was great. It had Unhinged, which gives it an extra 20%, and it came with stability buff for the static one, which is a great offset for the loss of weapon handling you get inherent to having Unhinged. And again, you want the in rhythm talent on your skill build. Looking at the actual mods themselves, on the assault rifle, I put on accuracy 10% scope mod. I did put on the extended 7.62 mag for an extra 10 rounds in the magazine, the underbarrel hand stop for bonus to reload speed, and then the Omega suppressor. You do lose a little bit of your optimal range with it, but you get the 20% extra stability, which really helps the handling on it. You can see the stability is probably like 85% off the bar over there, which really helps with the handling. Now for the excuse me, the LMG, I did pretty much the same thing. Focus on reload speed with both the ammo pouch and the hand stop for the underbarrel, and then I went in for the accuracy to overcome some weapon handling issues that the weapon has because of using Unhinged. And as you see, the stability is in good shape because there's the 15% bonus stability talent inherent to it. So that is the build itself. As I said, there's some flexibility as far as the gear pieces. You don't have to have these exact gear pieces. In fact, there's probably some optimization that could be done if I could find the better gear closer to gear score 500. But this has worked really well for me. So my next step is going to be to demonstrate it in action and see how this works out. I have been able to solo clear level 4 heroic level checkpoints, so I'm going to attempt to show that off. This one looks like it has a lot of stuff going on near it. So does that one. Let's see. See 2 attached to that one. This one has like 3 or 4. Okay, we'll go for this one. So right now this is a level 1 checkpoint. We'll teleport down and try to hit some of these various things that are linked to this. If you're curious what you can hit that's going to elevate the the alert level for a checkpoint, you can see these red lines that come off the checkpoint. One goes over here to this propaganda broadcast. One spiders off over here. This is an unknown event, not identified yet. This is a enemy convoy. And there's one more that comes down over here, it looks like, to public execution. So I'm going to try to find something nearby to teleport to. Head to the Grand Washington Hotel and then head up to that that event. It's almost straight north. And looking at my health dashboard, it looks like I have a pretty good.
Hostile control point nearby.
Looks like I have a pretty good
Detected.
signal
Nearby
going on
location.
right now.
Guarded
Haven't
by
had
hostiles.
a lot of frame loss. So hopefully this optimization I did solve the problems I was having. So this is only a couple hundred meters away.
Supplies nearby.
For those that have not played the Division 2 yet and aren't familiar with the various side missions you can do, there's as you roam the open world outside of the story missions, there's a number of randomly spawning events that the game will generate and kind of cycle through. The propaganda broadcast one, there'll be a generator set up with a PA system that's putting out some message, and you have to take control of it, kill the people protecting it, and then a couple waves will come out and defend it.
A menace to society, but look where we are now. This is our city, and we're not letting anyone take it away from us.
Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is toss out the Seekers. Looks like I only took out one. As you can see, the cooldown starts out at less than 30 seconds.
I'm gonna fuck you up now.
And for killing people while I'm in cover, that the calculated knee pads drastically drop my cooldown again.
They're trying to consolidate power. We've already tolerated their bullshit before, and the hyenas aren't letting
So
it
that's
happen
that
again.
first wave done already. And with the duration mod that I have in that drone, you can see that it has a very, very long bar that has barely even moved yet. I'll keep this out for the majority of the battle, and when it comes down to it almost being destroyed or that timer almost running down,
Access key detected.
I will destroy it manually, which will allow me to put the cooldown timer in half. If I let it run out completely on its own, it'll take almost a minute to cool down. If I
Manual override required.
do it manually, it'll be back up in about 25 to 30
Hostile
seconds.
broadcast detected. Progress resumed.
And I hear them. Which is the great thing about the Seekers. You just throw it in their general direction. And that wave's done.
Manual override required.
Time to kill. They're coming for me. Retreat to the room.
And that should be that. Put my drone away. And finish activating this.
Supplies detected.
There we go, side mission complete. That will buff the control point up to level 2.
We may not be the strongest community out there, but we are the smartest. If you want to
There
get
we
through
go.
this in one piece,
And the reason you want to... oh wait, that's actually connected to the wrong... Not the one I thought it was. I thought it was connected to this one. Oh, I apparently hit the wrong propaganda broadcast. Oh well. It is what it is. So this is an elite resource convoy coming from the checkpoint that I just alerted, and it is heading directly toward me. So I can take this out, and the benefit to taking out an elite event is it will raise it 2 alert levels versus just 1. So I'll be able to do this and then hit that checkpoint, and it'll already be at level 4. In case you're wondering why I would want to escalate the checkpoint alert level to level 4, the higher the checkpoint alert level, the better the weapons you get out of it. You start getting equipment blueprints unlocked at level 3.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
And when you hit level 4, the loot table gets better for the blueprints and loot. Instead of primarily fighting red enemies, I'll primarily be fighting gold and purple, which are the two highest tiers. How did that not kill him?
Incoming hostiles detected. Heavily armed. Hostile supply convoy nearby.
Another.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
Now there, you don't know if you caught it or not, the metronome that appeared is the in-room talent activating, which will let me throw out the seeker zones immediately ago. So as you can see, I'm fighting less with my weapons and more with my seeker mines and skills. And while I have been taking damage occasionally, the healing effect of my drone is almost completely offsetting it. Obviously, it's not going to work.
Detected.
Obviously, it's not going to work that effectively if I'm standing on the open and being shot repeatedly. But if you play it smart and maintain your cover, the healing drone will keep you up with very little issue.
A hostile control point detected.
So once I grab this, that finishes the convoy side mission, and that should boost that checkpoint up to level 4. Level 4 is heroic difficulty, which is the hardest that you can get it up to. There we go. And hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate how awesome this build is by taking this out without getting killed. I have managed to do it a couple times before. It's always been really close. So almost anything can happen in this scenario. But we'll see how it goes. So taking control point, if you haven't seen this before or done it yourself, it starts off by calling your allies in place. They start out usually about 150 meters out. This looks like it's closer to 200. They will make their way in and start helping you seize control of the control point. And I'll go back to talking about the calculated knee pads real quick. One of the nice things about them is any kill counts toward that cooldown. So if I take out enemy drones, or I just have a little RC car that's driving up to try to put a bomb on me, That also counts as an enemy kill, which helps my cooldown. So as long as I keep blowing those things up, I can keep on throwing these seeker mines out every 15-20 seconds or so. And I'm not close enough for him to pick up someone, so I'm going to have to advance a little bit. And eventually I'll get to the point where I take out the enemies in this checkpoint. I'll have to fight a boss, this protecting checkpoint, and then a counterattack will start, and you won't actually take full control of it until the counterattack is complete. There we go. So there's still a significant amount of combat between now and then.
I'm not gonna get him from here.
And I've been saving my skilled talent in the backpack proc, so I can throw out my mines yet again.
Coming for me.
And I have not even used my fixer drone yet, because I'm kind of waiting until I absolutely have to. Shit, the way this is going, we'll be worried about now. Yeah, might as well put it out.
Coming down the side.
Now, normally, I would be able to shoot that guy in the face through the sight hole in his shield, but
Gotta reload. I'm here covering you.
that character who's theoretically on my side is really blocking him, so... Oh.
Hostile broadcast picked up.
They're headed this way.
So this is probably the last two that are left before they're going to send out the boss.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Oh, I got her name going too.
I'm here.
It's always nice to get her named. Usually they just send out a random elite. It's just up armored slightly. The name characters have chances to drop better weaponry. Maybe I'll even get a new flame carrot out of it. I gotta take out her. Because those RC cars are a pain in the butt. Didn't finish her off. So normally, the cooldown for the Seeker Mines is about 90 seconds, and I want to say the cooldown for my drone is supposed to be about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. But as you can see, the way this build is constructed, throwing them out much more often than that. And now he should be the last one left. If I can finish him off. If I can finish him off, I'll run inside and restock my ammo quickly. Before the counterattack leads. Come on, you just Oh, still see all this stuff.
You had enough?
Smash it to pieces.
Alright, so that is the control point cleared. So next comes the
Incoming
counter.
hostiles detected.
Not gonna get him from here.
Gotta take my vitamins.
Got it.
How do you like my driving?
Gotta kill her. The melee characters can do a ridiculous amount of damage in a short period of time if they get them close enough. Now, one of the downsides of being set on fire in this game is the fact that it will
They're coming after me.
basically randomize your controls briefly while you're
Wasting my time here.
under the effects of being burned.
Come on there.
And it would be wonderful if my
Worry, I'm watching you. Not
theoretical
this one.
teammates weren't constantly blocking my shots on the enemy, but here we are. There we go.
Gotta reload. They're vulnerable. They're coming after me. Get the hell away from there.
That was a little close for comfort. So as you can see, there's a kind of annoying mix out there right now. I have a tank, but the heavy weapon is significantly difficult to take down. I got the annoying character tossing out the freaking exploding cars. And there's also a medic out there somewhere I saw running around. I want to try to take her down quickly before we start reviving people. Oh shoot.
Before they hide again.
I did not notice that my drone was down.
Oh, the story now.
Get out of there. You're not
Uh-oh.
walking away from this.
I also should try to pick this jackass up. There we go.
That was intense.
Got a tank. You're mine, asshole. I can destroy it.
Oh,
Serious trauma detected.
oh, I might not make it out of this one. Oh, oh, that armor kicked in at the absolute last possible split second. I thought I was going down there. Yeah, I cannot just get out in the open and trade shots with that other LMG dude. So this is kind of going to be a long, drawn-out battle of attrition, it looks like. While I try to pick away at these.
What the hell you thinking you're good for? I'm reloading here.
There we go.
Vital signs critical.
Oh,
Agent down.
who got me? That's that fucking medic. Alright, so
Agent
now
vital
I have to
signs
see if I can get
0.
back here before the battle either resets or something else equally horrible happens. Once you go down doing one of these control points, I really am disappointed I couldn't take that out in one shot like I was really hoping to. once you lose your life from these control points, especially when it's an uncontrolled configuration like that, you're kind of at the mercy of the random number generator. It might reset the entire thing before you get there. Your allies might take it over before you get back to it, in which case you get no credit at all for helping it. You miss out on all the loot, which I really hope doesn't happen because I'm after the high-end blueprints.
Hostiles guarding location nearby.
So we'll see how it goes. I could end up being back there and picking up the battle pretty much where I left off. There's only a handful left of enemies to take out. Or it might put me back to the beginning of the point where the counterattack started. I really don't want to get involved in this mess. Or it might even put me back all the way to the very beginning.
Spill your brains all over the floor.
They shouldn't drift too far from their assigned event. So I'm hoping that's not going to come back and bite me in the ass as I run past them. Have not got the message yet saying that the control point... Okay, it's still under defend. So this might not be that bad. It's at least... Yeah, this is not what I was hoping for. All these idiots are following me. That is the opposite of what I was hoping for. Far from ideal.
Here, I'll fix you up. I can feel this guy.
Incoming backup request.
That's one of the frustrating aspects to Heroic is their flanking tactics are much better than they are on lower settings. And all it takes is one to get out way behind you. It really screws up your day. Not helped by the fact that I'm fighting enemies from two different instances now. The control point and that execution I dragged them from. I ran past it. Oh!
Hostage health is critical.
It'd be really nice if you'd die now. Thank you. I have lost track of how many dudes I have killed and from how many different instances now.
Hostage is dead.
Gonna blow it to bits!
This is not going well. So that is their just flat out ridiculous amount of health that heroic level characters have. And it looks like they're still trickling in from that
We got to stop them.
Agent requesting backup. Heavily armored
There we go.
hostile detected.
All right, this is the last of the enemies for defending against the counterattack. As long as I survive this, I got it. And they sent me an armored shield guy. Fantastic. Oh, thanks, buddy. You took those last couple shots like a champ.
I need better gear.
Oh, another neat one, too. Nice.
Reloading here.
Shoot you in the ankle. What do you think of that? This is not going well. That sounds like... Not the one of our guys, okay.
Got you now.
Alright, there goes the shield. Oh, I'm almost out of ammo for my LMG.
Coming from behind cover.
You should get out.
I'm going for them.
They're making themselves a target.
Quick, before they hide again.
Yeah, there goes the leader. In the home stretch now.
Drop one.
I chose the wrong damn position.
The mini-map is going crazy. I cannot figure out where these guys are at.
Have to keep
Oh, there's
fighting.
one.
Wait, I need to reload.
I got you.
Oh no. The other guy just alerted a whole different group.
Damn. Oh, I got this.
Reload.
Alright. Before things go completely to hell, I need more ammo.
Over there.
My LMG would be more preferable. Yeah, that's a totally different group.
I'm burning.
Everything's so weird.
This is kind of like an alternate reality where people never heard of stop, drop, and roll. There you are. Alright, she's my priority right now because I'm sick of those freaking remote control cars. And there we go. She was the last one left, and I got a blueprint. Looks like for a mask.
Supply room access.
Really was hoping for a
Unlocked.
weapon mod, but that's the real hotness going on here. But no such luck this time. These are some random reds from whatever incident that I aggroed earlier. And to finish her off, I think I'll be free. Yeah, there we go. That's everyone.
Food supplies detected.
Alright, so that was the skill build. As you can As you can see, it works pretty effectively, even at the heroic level. It wasn't so much the build's fault. I let myself get flanked at one point. I should have pulled back and been a little more circumspect. But for now, I'll loot this, and I will then end the stream. If anyone has any questions or comments specific to the build or anything else about the game, maybe what you want to see in the next stream, leave me a comment. If you enjoyed any of it, you know, hit the like, subscribe, the bell, all that cool stuff that YouTube has in place to let you know about what I'm doing next.
Large group of
So yeah,
hostiles.
I can head back to the White House, sell off my crap, and call it a day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one.